Welcome to Lesson 4 of Section 10 of HOPE. In this section, you have been exploring the impact of trauma on relationship styles, including protective patterns and boundary problems. In this final lesson, we will review the reflections and activities for healing in your guide for this section to help you improve your relationships and move past the impact of trauma in these areas. Let's start by reviewing some reflection questions for you to consider. First, as you think about God's design for relationships in light of your past and present, how do you feel about having a basic need for relationships and intimacy that is so important to your well-being? Has this need been mostly a source of pleasure or pain in your life, or both? Explain. Next, based on the relationship styles described in this section, how have you protected yourself from getting hurt in relationships in the past? Which protective style do you find yourself using most of the time now? What does it feel like to think about moving past this to find relationships that are more open or vulnerable in healthier ways? Next, considering both what you have learned about the importance of beliefs and relationship styles, how would you explain what you have come to believe most about relationships based on your past hurts or experiences? Also, how would you describe the current condition of the fence around your yard when it comes to boundaries? Is it too open, too closed, appropriately flexible? Where do you need to improve in your gatekeeping, and with who? Finally, how would you describe the primary boundaries, rules, or expectations that currently govern your closest relationships? How have these developed over time? What is one first step you can take to begin to diffuse or short-circuit any old unhelpful patterns that you're hoping to move away from? As you continue to reflect on your relationships, here are some additional activities to help you develop specific strategies for your situation. First, keep track of your relationship style in a journal this week. At the end of your day, look briefly at your interactions with others, such as your spouse, your children, friends, coworkers, and write down any negative interactions you had and identify which relationship styles or tendencies you demonstrated with them. How was it helpful or hurtful to the growth of that relationship? Also, identify next some specific things you could do or ways you could respond next time you are with that person that would demonstrate greater respect, responsibility, reliance, etc., as we've talked about in these lessons. Briefly describe one interaction in your healing activities guide and one thing you can do differently next time. Also, remember that as you learn to operate in grace, not to put yourself down for mistakes you are making or unhealthy patterns you are identifying in your relationships. You can be sorry and repent for specific wrong behavior without condemning yourself. It is important to have grace towards yourself, even for the negative relational traits that you may have developed over time, as a way of coping. By giving yourself to the Lord and focusing on His love for you, with time and practice, you will learn new relational habits. Putting yourself down won't make it happen any faster and usually makes it worse. Finally, based on what you learned in this section, identify at least 3 ways you can do or say something different to make a positive change in your relationships in the next week. What are they, and who are the people you will focus on in these activities? I hope this section has helped improve your understanding of the importance of relationships and our need for them, as well as where things often go wrong. Understanding boundaries and how they work is vital to continuing to work toward emotional healing and health. In the final section of teaching for this course, we will focus on the most important aspect needed for continued healing, understanding God's love and grace toward us to help us in the journey forward. A.W. Tozer, a famous pastor and theologian, once said, What comes into our minds when we think about God is the most important thing about us. This is true because how we think about God shapes all other beliefs that we have about ourselves, our relationships, the world, and God, and is the key to living in freedom and grace. So as we bring the Hope teaching sections to an end, getting the right perspective on God and how He wants to continue to work in our lives will help keep us on the path of healing moving forward. I'll see you in the next lesson.